Passport bros seem to be a hot commodity nowadays, so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. This is another case of black women not minding their business. Y'all didn't care about mail order brides until black men happened to make it popular, but of course you feel entitled to being the BBC commander when something no longer benefits you, although these are the same men that you said you didn't want, didn't need, and they are broke. I'm gonna be honest, going overseas to travel frequently and live does not equate to broke. But then again, this just simply speaks to the delusion and hypocrisy of women. These men have been very clear in their message. They've said time and time again they wanted wives, someone they could build with, start their family with, someone they could create a legacy with. What y'all heard was they wanted someone that they can control. Y'all minimize being a wife simply down to being a slave, even so much as telling those other women overseas that they're uneducated and practicing sex tourism. And in turn, a lot of y'all have took your degree and traded it in for an OnlyFans profile.
I haven't personally listened to Jason Whitlock very much, but I think I will listen to him much more because he's getting a lot of traction for talking about the politics of the passport bros. But what I really did think was interesting, I didn't really see many people mention this or talk about this. This article right here, and I'll leave the link just so you can see it. Podcaster blames single black women for violence against black men. Now, as we've already seen, the vast majority of these shit talkers on TikTok come on with these stupid videos looking ridiculous, nose rings, boogers, and snot, wigs on, high colors like chameleons and stuff, like poison dart frogs, purple, green, nylon hair, this, that, and other. It's absolutely ridiculous at this point. But one of the common connecting threads, which I've already pretty much sewn together for you, is the fact that most of them pretty much understand that the passport bros, they can't be stopped. If they decide that they want to go overseas or whatever, they absolutely can do that. And there's no stopping them. That said, what have they done? They've actually openly called for violence against passport bros, right? And we've heard them. I mean, we've put it in enough videos. They're like, oh yeah, you're gonna fuck around, you're gonna find out. Oh yeah, they're gonna what is it? Filipina P brought up the fact that one of them said, oh yeah, they're gonna chop you up with machetes and this, that, and other. And Filipina P was like, really? And she came on, and thank goodness for these good Filipinas who shot back so quickly that they left the rest of these TikTokers feeling dumb. Personally, I'm just waiting for Congress to shoot down TikTok just like they did with that weather balloon after they finally got that F-22 up there. But once TikTok is gone, yeah, these strags are going to have to regroup and they're going to have to go somewhere else. But I think TikTok has done enough poisoning of the population, because we've already seen, based on the last election, just how easy it is for social media to be used to push agendas, especially if they want to rabble up a bunch of rabble rousers. So we've already seen that. The thing I wanted to point out, look at this. Commenting on this article ended. Now, this article was put up here February 3rd. The article got, it says like 99 notifications, but the commenting was shut off. One of the ways that they hide the truth about what people actually think is what they do is they shut down comments. And from what I can see, I don't think there were any comments on this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think there were any comments at all. They shut it down immediately. So really quickly, I'm only going to use like a very short amount of this because this way you hear what he had to say. But then again, you can listen to it yourself.
That are run by single mothers. If we want to discuss the breakdown of family that leads to disrespect for authority, that causes you to resist the police and...
So, obviously I have to claim fair use, and basically, I have to say I'm reporting on this, it's not just an article, it's actually a video within an article. But the thing about it is what he's basically pointing at is the fact that these children have been allowed to live without consequence and have been allowed to live without discipline for so long. And I've brought this up in other videos before. They've been allowed to do whatever they want, no consequence, no discipline, because for the most part, the fathers have not been in the homes. So what happens when that lack of respect for authority leads you out into the streets, and now you got to deal with the police? Well, I think it's obvious what happens, because now what you see, the police literally are telling you, don't move, stop what you're doing, and these people are not listening. The police say, Keep your hands out of your pockets. Don't touch that. Don't do that. And they're still touching that, and they're still doing that. They still got their hands in their pockets. Running from traffic stops. Now, here's the thing. Little secret about me. I used to watch the show Cops regularly. I loved watching it. It was like it was like my favorite show. It was like, how everybody crowds around the TV to watch these stupid ass shows like Desperate Housewives of Atlanta or whatever the hell it is. I used to love watching Cops, right? And also, I used to love watching Real Stories of the Highway Patrol. Now, what those two things basically taught me was pretty much police procedure. You don't learn much about the justice system by watching those shows. You learn more about the justice system and the court system by watching like Judge Mathis, watching Judge Judy specifically, watching Judge Joe Brown, Judge Madeline Eve. You can learn a lot about the court system by watching those shows. But the reality is, when it came to actual law enforcement, oh yeah, well, I grew up in the 80s. We were taught what cops could be and what they are. We were taught the difference between Judge Dredd and RoboCop. We were taught the difference between Carl Winslow and Bruce Willis in Die Hard. So the reality is, what happens when you're dealing with people and you're dealing with a population who's literally been allowed to do whatever they want without consequence for long periods of time, and now they have no respect whatsoever for authority. Authority is telling them to do one thing, they're just completely ignoring it and doing something else. Well, guess what? What happens is exactly what is happening. What happens is either the police put you down permanently or they put you down temporarily using that taser. And the thing about it is, this is what Jason Whitlock was basically saying. You can look, I'll put the URL, you can actually watch it yourself. Now, by the way, just like Fox 26? This guy, Isaiah Factor, just like what he tried to do to Austin Holloman. He tried to pigeonhole him. He tried to basically make it look like he's a sex tourist trick. Austin Holloman handled that interview perfectly. But the sad thing is, if you were to look up Passport Bros in one of these search engines, what you automatically get pointed to is Fox 26. And the reason why is because there really aren't any other articles about the Passport Bros. Like, for instance, if I do it right now and I type up, Passport Bro News, right? And if I click news, well, the first thing you see is it says, well, this was the Travel Noir article from December 29th. And then it goes into a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with it. Now, it does say something about Andrew Tate. But see, look what's happening. They've made it so that the search engine basically goes straight to Andrew Tate, which obviously he's, facing a trial, but he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's number one. Number two, if you go to news, this is what you see. The first thing you pop up with is this hit job that was done on Austin Holloman. That's the first thing you see. And then you see this. So what they've basically done is they've tried to make Passport Bros a pejorative. Now, here's the simple fact of the matter. Now, whether you're listening to me and you don't like me, because I've got a lot of strags who are absolute haters, channel trolls. I've got some strags who've been doing their best to dox me and everything. See, what's funny is they don't, they'll try to dox me and everything, but it doesn't change the fact that this Desert Eagle is still cocked. It don't change that. And some of the strags, oh yeah, well, we're going to get you by the red flag laws. Hey, guess what, stupid? We don't have red flag laws. They were taken down because they're unconstitutional. You see, if you have no criminal record and you have the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution on your side, there's not a whole lot the strags can do. Which is why the Passport Bros don't have to really worry about anything, because everything they're doing is legal. And that's the point. And that's one of the reasons why I've always said, you know what? Make sure that everything you do is legal, number one. Make sure everything you do is sanctioned by the government, not only yours, but the government of the country you're in. Don't take drugs to Russia like Brittany Griner. Don't do stupid things in other countries. As long as you stay within the law, strags can't do nothing to you. You can marry whoever you want who's of legal age to marry. You can take your resources. You can take your money. They like to make fun of you. They say, "Oh, you ain't got no money. Oh, you ain't got no resources." Now, first of all, a lot of these men are in IT. A lot of these men are STEM majors, STEM tech. These dudes are going overseas and meeting people and getting married, and there ain't nothing they can do about it. Because guess what? Today is the 7th. You see that? Today is the 7th, right? Today's the 7th, right? We've got a couple of days till Valentine's Day. Yeah, well, while you're married to your foreign wife, these drags are going to be sitting at home with their TikToks because they ain't going out. It's Valentine's Day, but they ain't going nowhere. They ain't nobody taking them nowhere. So Kevin Samuels said they're going to have Galentine's Day. So the bottom line is, while I digress, the bottom line is, as long as everything you do is legal, they ain't got nothing to say. Well, no, they can say whatever they want to say, but it doesn't really matter. So if you're married legally, there ain't nothing they can do. You can take your resources to the moon. You can take your resources to Mars. You can take your resources to Jupiter. Just like they said that they were going with Bitcoin, but they never got there. No. The bottom line is they've tried to paint you as a pejorative. That's what they've tried to do, but it hasn't stopped nothing. You know why? Because everything we're doing is legal. And that's the main thing you have to remember. As long as you stay within the boundaries of the law, there's nothing they can do. You are golden. So, back to this. What did Fox 26 do? Now, I don't know if they'll ever have Jason Whitlock on, but this is what they put on. This is the nonsense that they put on. So I'm not going to play the audio, but if you were to look at even the what is it called? The closed captions, basically what you see is, of course, they get the immediate pushback. Well, first of all, let's take a close look at their hands because I want to see those wedding rings. I want to see where they are. Let's see if we can get a close-up of those hands because if you ain't got a wedding ring on, I don't want to hear it. So what is the first thing they say? Something about this. Jason Whitlock has disgraced his mother, right? This is the first place they go. They talk about you disgracing your mother, or they talk about you disgracing your grandmother, or they talk about you need therapy. Well, guess what? You're full of shit, number one. Number two, I'm sure that being who he is and having an outspoken podcast ability, I'm pretty sure if his mother is still around or alive, I'm pretty sure he's had talks like that with his mother. In fact, considering how much money he's probably made off his podcast and all the stuff he's probably bought his mother, chances are she probably listens to this and she ain't got no problem with it. In fact, I would go so far as to say, if she's around, she probably agrees with most of the stuff he's saying. Because when you actually break it down, she'll understand. It's just like when people try to invoke God against you. It's like, hey, guess what? God made me. God made me able to talk the shit that I'm talking. So, for all you know, with your limited 2D understanding, God gave me the voice to say the shit that I'm saying right now. Because it's just like with Moses. He said, yeah, Moses, I want you to go down. You tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Pharaoh's like, who the fuck are you? You can't do that shit. Wait a minute, I thought you were on my side. Because you got to remember, Pharaoh and Moses, they grew up together. Because Moses was like, adopted basically into the family. And he's like, wait a minute, you can't say that shit to me. I'm Pharaoh. And Moses says, no, fuck all that. I'm sent here from God. And I said, let my people go. Who the fuck are you? And that's what it is. Some of these people, they got these delusions, these bald-headed Sigourney Weaver, aliens, Sigourney Weaver has hair, but I'm just saying these Ripleys, believe it or not, what is it? What did Chris Rock call Jada Pinkett Smith? What did he say? He said something about G.I. Jane. Yeah, they got delusions of grandeur. That's what the problem is. They got these delusions like they speak for. See, you don't speak for me. You damn sure don't speak for me. No, you speak for yourself, Baldy Locks. All right, let me keep going, because otherwise I would just keep digressing. Yeah, it's gut-wrenching. Yeah, you know why? Because talking truth to power is gut-wrenching, but guess what? You ain't got no power. So anyway, where are we? Conversations, your thoughts about, yeah. So I'm just going to go through, notice My word, my collar. Yeah, so this is like a pastor because now everybody's a pastor. Now everybody's a PhD. Now everybody's a doctor. Now everybody thinks they have power over other people. Everybody's educated because they got their PhD in the mail from Kentucky Fried University. It's like, get out of here. But this guy right here, this guy really got to me when he started going. So wait, hold on. Let me get to this. Let me get this. Because there was a part. Wait, hold on. Where was this guy? I think it was at 9 minutes. Get jobs, children out of assassination, Nicole getting killed in the forest. Yeah, right. Where is it? Because there's a part that this guy was getting my goat. Let me see. Where was it? Because they were saying he was clout chasing. You gotta watch it yourself. They were saying he was a clout chaser. I got baldy locks right here, looking like Eartha Kitt. Wait, hold on. Let me find that. Let me find that part. Let me find that.
Oh, this really quick.
This guy Isaiah, man, this guy, let me tell you something. If you're a Passport Bro and you get offered to go on this guy's show, yo, just understand right away, it's a hit job. I would not go on this dude's show at all. I just wouldn't do it. And I know what they try to do. They try to set you up, and then we're just bringing you on so you can tell your side of the story. But I already showed you right here. This is what they do. This right here is what they do. If you just type up Passport Bros, this is what they try to do. Now, I ain't worried about Austin. He's in another country living it up right now. He's making his videos about Thailand. He's having a great time. So I'm not really worried about him. The thing about it that bothers me, though, is the fact that you've got news media, and I never trusted anything from Fox, but they set you up every goddamn time. That's what they're good for. That's all they do. Wait, where did this guy start talking?
We should do. Yeah, sometimes,
because this guy right here is just bitch broken right here. Wait. So we're talking about slavery. It's fucking 2022, 2023. Where is it?
Asinine comments like, and explain to them.
Wait, where was it?
People who really care about the black community go on those networks and explain to them.
This is it.
Certain networks say it without being called racist. The right, they believe what he believes. They're not concerned. Doing is a disservice to the black community. Is dangerous because certain networks, certain
networks like Fox, certain networks will use your words to push their agenda. Yeah, certain ones like Fox 26. Sad.
That are conservative and white, predominantly.
Conservative and white? Isaiah doesn't look like he white to me. He don't look like he white.
A lot of those people I would stereotypically say believe what he believes. They're just scared to say it because they don't have the right skin color to say it without being called racist. But when a black man co-signs something that they might believe, it leads to more racism.
So basically what you're saying is, as a black man myself, who's 40 years old, when I say, yeah, I want to see the welfare state destroyed, are you saying that I'm co-signing something that the racist whites are saying? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying when I'm talking about my Second Amendment rights, are you saying that I'm co-signing what the racist white man is saying? Is that what you're saying? When you strike, and you strike deep, this is what happens. You basically send your enemy back to regroup. It takes 3 of these nobodies. These are 3 nobodies, 3 of them on here trying to walk back the stuff that Jason Whitlock said. 3 nobodies. I have no idea who this is. I definitely don't know who those 2 women are. But it's just like with the Passport Bros. What happened? You had Austin Holloman with his Brazil issue, and you had 2 nobodies, one of which you turned out to be an OnlyFans model selling booty and feet photos or whatever it was, digital stripping. I don't even know what it was, but they uncovered her pretty quick because somebody must have recognized it and be like, hey, I paid about $25 to whack off to that. I know her, and that's what happened. Oh, by the way, this message is brought to you by Poise Pads. If ever you're moist and not feeling feminine, always remember to use Poise Pads. Okay, so back to the story. It's ridiculous.
Certain networks need to have more black people who speak for the community. I don't think we'll ever get rid of racism, but if you have people who really care about the black community go on those networks and explain to them where the system has failed black men.
First of all, this thing that Whitlock was pointing out about the fact that you've got undisciplined youth with no fear of authority, that right there is where the system's failed. So you just want to keep talking about how many welfare checks aren't being given to you. You want to talk about how many stimmies aren't being handed out and where's the reparations and this, that, and other. I've got something simpler for you. How about you teach people to actually respect the law? How about that? Because you got to understand here's the thing. I saw that whole video. I will never understand how when they literally tell you hands behind your back, how that escalates into you either attempting to drive off in a car or you attempting to run away from a traffic stop. I'll never understand that. Now, in this case, it wasn't a police shooting. It wasn't even a tasing that killed this person. It was a straight up beating. And that beating came, I think Chris Rock had it best in his, Chris Rock has a video that's still on YouTube, how not to get your ass kicked by the police, right? And he pretty much, there's one part where he basically sums it up. He says, if the police have to come get you, they're bringing an ass whipping with them. Yeah, well, that's the kind of education you need to understand, because the reality is, if you're deemed arrestable, you're getting arrested. Now, the question is, what does RoboCop say? Dead or alive, you're coming with me? Yeah. Well, some people just don't understand it. They just don't get it. And no matter how many cops get in trouble, no matter how many cops get fired, no matter how many cops they have to rehire to replace the cops they just fired, the reality is, with this situation, these were 5 black cops, and you couldn't simply just blame racism. So you had to reach real far. Oh, well, it was the system that was racist, and it set them up to be this way. Oh, the black man, he always is going to overshow for his white. Mind you, they were working under a black woman, mind you. Just keep that in mind. Oh, they got to beat you down in order to show off for Joel I'm like, bottom line is, man, get your goddamn passports. America, I can already see that this place is going to be really fucked up in 5 years. 10 years, it may be unsurvivable. 10 years, first of all, they're already worried about chat AI taking away all the goddamn jobs. They're worried right now that everybody's going to lose their job. They're worried right now that you're going to go to McDonald's. It's going to be robots. You're going to go to the bar. It's going to be robots. They're really terrified right now that most of these low-level service workers, everybody's going to lose their job. They're worried about that now. And this is 2023. Now, 2030, what do we hear from the statistics? They're saying that the majority of these women are going to be single and childless by 2030. Add to that, poverty's going up. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, about that. Right now, poverty's high as hell, but the only thing that's holding it back is the welfare. And the problem is the welfare is not going to last that much longer because they're, $31 trillion in debt and they're raising these interest rates? You ain't getting too far on a stimulus check now because, first of all, they can't even send them out at this point. So, no, listen, guys, if you never do anything I tell you to do, understand something. You better get your shit together and you better get yourself a pensioned job and you better get ready to get your passport. First of all, you should have been getting your passport weeks ago. You need to get your passport and you need to be ready to get out of here when shit hits the fan. Because the reality is, it's just like, what did they say in The Matrix? You remember in The Matrix, I believe it was Matrix Revolutions, when Neo was talking to the architect? He said there are levels of survival which we're willing to deal with. Well, listen, if America lets itself go down because they give in and placate to this stupidity, understand something. I'm willing to retire on a beach in Thailand and be paying half what I'm paying just to get away from these people, especially him, because this guy's no good right here. That guy right there is no good. He's as bad as Hannity and Tucker. How they say that these guys are just setting you up with like ridiculous commentary, and they're just attacking you, and they're just trying to make you look bad. No, this guy right here, he's more of that. He's more of that right there, and he's already proven it. And when you watch the interviews that he's done, you basically see it right there. So, no, my thing is, guys, listen, unless you want this right here, unless you want Baldy Locks right there and the 3 Bears, unless you want them to be in your future, no, I suggest y'all get your passports. The worst part about going to a foreign country is not knowing what to do, not knowing where to have fun, not having any guides, not having anyone to be with, being lonely, not knowing what to do from day to day. One of the worst things you can ever feel in a foreign country is loneliness. Sometimes you go to a foreign country, you don't have friends who've gone with you. Maybe you're an expatriate. Maybe you're a worker in a foreign country. Perhaps you're in Vietnam. Perhaps you go to Vietnam, outsourced by your IT company, and you don't know what to do or who to meet. Well, Vietnamese Wingman or VietnamWingman.com is here to help you. If you're looking for friends, language partners, relationships, marriage, Vietnamese Wingman, VietnamWingman.com is here to help you to have a great time in Vietnam, meet somebody, meet a friend, meet a woman, meet a wife. They are here to help you do that. So check out Vietnam Wingman and enjoy the rest of the story.
Pay attention to the passport bros. Like, they're getting women from, like, the DR, Colombia,
Yes.
the Philippines, Thailand. Like, women that can speak very little English, women that don't have education, women that...
But
That need them. Women that need
women
them.
are raised to be wives. They learn everything
these other communities,
from birth, from their father, from their mother, how to be a wife and how to support your man.
Women that need them.
It's not even women that need them. It's women that treat them with respect.
So we don't.
Y'all know y'all don't.
Look, stop yourself.
Here's a story you may or may not be aware about. Came from New York Times. Fortunately, there's no paywall on it, so I can actually read this one. Why black families are leaving New York and what it means for the city. Black children in particular are disappearing from the city, and many families point to one reason. Raising children here has become too expensive. Now, to the New York Times credit, they actually found a black family where there's actually a father in this picture. Holy smokes. There's a father in the picture. There's a mother there. And then there's 3 kids. So I'm actually really impressed with the New York Times for just that. Because usually every time I turn on one of these stories, it's usually the mother and she's holding the kid. And it looks like one of those Ebony ads for those video games that you see on the cell phone, that where they tell you to pull the pin and to let the lion get melted by the lava, and then you pull another pin and the gold falls down, and then you pull another pin. Like, it's those horrible video game commercials. Like that's how bad it usually is. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I was looking for a story I had recently seen about Section 8 housing vouchers not being accepted, because I was going to use that as a reminder that winter has come. And not only that, after winter comes and leaves, then you're going to end up in summer where the passport bros are going to rule the world. So I did not find that Section 8 article, even though there were others I could have used, but maybe I'll save that for another day. I'll save that. See, right now, I actually have a video about Beyonce's tour, and I'm still waiting for YouTube to hurry up and finish with the checks on it. And this is the longest I can remember them taking. It's like 2 days at this point. It's incessant. But anyway, whether they, I'd hate to have to redo that video, but the reality is it should have been finished checking already. So I don't know who they've got in those offices. I don't know. Maybe Google's been laying people off. I don't know. But anyway, it says Althea Rodney is a product of the upward mobility New York City once promised black Americans. She grew up in mostly black neighborhoods in Brooklyn, graduated from public schools, and attended a liberal arts college on a full scholarship. She went on to start her own event planning business in the city. But as Mrs. Rodney's own, I think the full article is shown, her own family grew, she found herself living in a cramped one-bedroom rental where her 3 children shared a bunk bed in the living room. Damn. It was hard to get them into programs that exposed them to green spaces or swim classes. As she scrolled through friends' social media posts showing off trampolines in spacious backyards in Georgia, the solution became clear. Leave. Last summer, the family bought a 5-bedroom home in Snellville, Georgia. I felt like it became increasingly difficult to raise a family in New York, Mrs. Rodney said. The Rodneys are part of an exodus of black residents from New York City. From 2010 to 2020, a decade during which the city's population showed a surprising increase led by a surge in Asian and Hispanic residents. The number of black residents decreased. The decline mirrored a national trend of younger black professionals, middle-class families, and retirees leaving cities in the Northeast and Midwest for the South. The city's black population has declined by nearly 200,000 people in the past 2 decades, or about 9%. Now, about 1 in 5 residents are non-Hispanic black, compared with 1 in 4 in 2000, according to the latest census data. The decline is starkest among the youngest New Yorkers. The number of black children and teenagers living in the city fell more than 19% from 2010 to 2020, and the decline is continuing. School enrollment data suggests schools have lost children in all demographic groups, but the loss of black children has been much steeper as families have left and as the birth rate among black women has decreased. Keep this in mind, because one of the things I mentioned was the fact that even the sperm banks are missing out on black male sperm donors. Less than 2% are black male sperm donors. So that means that if these women so decide that they're going to hold off childbirth and hold off marriage, then they're going to be left with a choice when they go to that sperm bank. Pookie or Ray Ray? Which would you like? Would you like the Pookie double Y chromosome special? Or would you like the Ray Ray double Y double X? What is it? X, and it's a capital X and a Y. It's a small. It's a capital X, small Y chromosome special, right? So the question is, which one do you want? Do you want Pookie juice or Ray Ray juice? Which one do you want? And chances are they're going to say, no, I don't want either one of those. So anyway, the factors propelling families like the Rodneys out of the city are myriad, including concerns about school quality, a desire to be close to relatives, and tight urban living conditions. But many of those interviewed for this article pointed to one main cause: the ever-increasing cost of raising a family in New York. Now, first of all, I'm going to give you the link to this. You can read this majority yourself. But the reality is very, very, very simple. They point to a lack of childbirth for one. Another issue is obviously, Jesus Christ, there's a lot here. Another issue is obviously the lack of marriage, because the reality is, to stay in this city, you have to be married so that you have that second stable income. You just have to be. And the simple reality is, most people, because y'all are watching those stupid television shows like Basketball Housewives of Desperate Atlanta or whatever it is, I don't even care what the name is because I don't watch it and I think it's stupid, and I don't watch it because I know it's stupid. I've seen people watch it. I just turn my nose up and leave. But anyway, y'all have been convinced that, oh yeah, well, I just take my money, I'll go down to Atlanta and I'll buy me a mansion for $300,000. Uh-huh. Yeah, so y'all were convinced about that. So what happened? Y'all started leaving. So now New York is going dry. In fact, I hear black people who I know talking about that all the time, about going down to Atlanta. They act like Atlanta is like Mars or something. Like they act like it's Elysium. They say, oh yeah, well, all of my troubles will melt away if I can just get to Atlanta. Y'all act like Atlanta is the hem on Jesus's robe. Oh, but if I could just touch the hem on the robe, I'd be saved. It's like, that's how they act. That's what they sound like when they talk. They actually sound, oh yeah, I'm just going to go down to Atlanta. I'll have a gigantic house bigger than yours, and it'll be $250,000. I'm like, hey guys, guess what? Everybody else had that same idea, and they already went down there. And guess what? The prices down there, it ain't that cheap no more. It's a lot more expensive now. It's not what you thought. Like, if you had moved down there in like 1990, oh yeah, you would have been winning. But if you go down there now, shit, you might as well stay in New York. But anyway, and then you know what else they do? They move out to Texas, because Texas has a lot of space. So, you know, it's cheap to live in Texas. They damn sure ain't moving to California, because if you can't hack it here, you damn sure ain't going to California. But that's just what it is. Now, look at this. It says Michael O'Keefe moved from Bedford-Stuyvesant to Mansfield, Texas in 2021 to be close to relatives who could help raise her 2 children. But she also worried about obtaining a good education for them in what she called New York City's insane and complex system. Selective academic programs in top middle and high schools accept few black children each year. Stuyvesant High School, the city's crown jewel, made offers to just 11 black students for its freshman class of more than 750 this academic year. Let me just say this. I don't know if you've ever been to Stuyvesant. I actually went to Stuyvesant to take the specialized high school entrance exam. And I was accepted into a specialized high school. But one thing I have to say about Stuyvesant is on the West Side Highway. Unless you actually live in Manhattan, going back and forth to Stuyvesant, that is like a nightmare commute. I wouldn't want to have to go there no matter how smart I was. It's like there are other schools like NYU. Well, then again, I should stick to high schools. But there's other schools like Townsend Harris, which is a high school next to Queens College. There are other high schools, even Francis Lewis or Cardozo. For you to go to Stuyvesant is basically like you going to an Ivy League high school. I would not want to have to go back and forth there unless I lived in Manhattan, which I do not live in that. I don't live anywhere near there. So the reality is, first of all, you're going to likely be, it's almost like de facto discrimination. It's like de facto discrimination. You aren't anywhere near this place. So when you apply, chances are you're not getting accepted unless you're like Neil deGrasse Tyson and you're in elementary class talking about, oh yeah, you know what? I wonder if this black hole Schwarzschild radius is 0.003. And it's like, yeah, listen, if you're a super genius while you're in freaking elementary school, oh yeah, oh shit, we can't wait to take you. But chances are that's not you. Chances are you're not Stephen Hawking's trying to come up with event horizon theory for a Einstein-Rosenberg bridge through space and time. Chances are that's not you. Chances are that's not your kid. And that there's nothing to be ashamed about. Most people just aren't thinking like that. That's the reality. But again, chances are you're nowhere near this place, and you'd have a very difficult time applying to and getting accepted to it. So I'm not going to hold that against anybody. Now, I'm pretty sure Neil deGrasse Tyson could get in, but not you. But that's okay. So it says, there was always part of me that was like, how are we going to deal with schools? Miss O'Keefe, whose children are 2 and 4, said, it was a looming consideration. Should we move to Jersey? Do we go to another area where there's more opportunities? The administration has sought to increase access to selective pathways like the city's Gifted and Talented program. But parents worry that schools serving primarily black children in a deeply segregated system could face larger losses in future rounds of school budget cuts, and that shrinking resources and cuts to programs may prompt further departures. You want to know my recommendation, black parents? Put your kids, first of all, this is my recommendation. And before I even make it, I already know you're not going to listen to me because what I'm suggesting actually makes too much goddamn sense. Number one, stop wasting money buying them used ass BMW and Mercedes. Save your money. That's number one. Number two, do not buy your kids any cell phones. Stop wasting money on cable. Take all of that money and put your kids in either a small Montessori school or a small private school that you can afford with the money that you've saved. Trust me, they'll do a hell of a lot better, but you're not going to listen to me because you're too busy paying for your C300 C-Class. You're not going to listen to me because you're too busy trying to flash off your Range Rover. You're not going to listen to me because you want to see The Last of Us when it comes on HBO at the end of the week. You're not going to listen to me because you'll probably already have a bunch of iPhone 14 Pro Maxes and you're paying about $400 a month for your cell phone bill. But, the truth hurts, and I want it to hurt. I think the truth needs to be grinded into your skin, honestly. But anyway, Her oldest son's Brooklyn Heights school was largely white. In his final year there, fewer than 5% of the students and only a small number of teachers were black. She noticed him growing increasingly insecure about his natural hair. Classmates would sometimes try to touch it. Yeah, well, first of all, if anybody touched my hair, you're getting the shit beat out of you. It's just that simple. Unless you're a hot girl and you're trying to touch my hair because you think it's cute. I'm like, okay, well, I'll make exceptions there. But, any boys try to run their hands through my hair, you're getting thrown against the fucking wall. And believe me, I have the physical strength and I had it in high school to do that to you. I really did. So no, you're not touching my hair. But anyway, I don't think it's any reason to be insecure about it. It's just like you got to lay down the law. But anyway, he was starting to feel different. Ms. Brooks said he needed to be around more diversity and see more kids look like him. After a trip to North Carolina, and this goes on and on and on and on, but it's like, okay, I think this is it. After a trip to North Carolina in the spring of 2020 revealed how much cheaper life could be elsewhere, the Brooks family chose to move to Charlotte, where a growing black population makes up more than a third of residents. Most of her son's new teachers and more of their classmates are black. Well, you see, here's the thing. As the passport bros grow and grow and grow, passport bros are going to end up having some of these exact same issues because you're going to have to decide where do you want to raise your children, right? Chances are you won't have so much of a financial issue as you'll have an issue when it comes to do you want your kid to go to a school where they're trying to confuse them about their gender? Do you want your kid to go to a school where people don't know what bathroom they're supposed to use based on whether they have a pee-pee or a wee-wee? Yeah, I understand. We've got a lot of tough decisions to make. Now, if you're smart and you do stay in another country and you send your kids to school, chances are in that country, I can almost guarantee you, especially if it's a Southeast Asian country, that your kids' math skills are going to be way better than they'd be if they come here. Guaranteed. I can also say that if you work with your kid, you can probably make sure that their reading skills in English specifically, because they're going to be talking to you every day and you're an English speaker, even if your wife isn't. So the reality is your kid may end up being bilingual. Bilingual means that you have a better opportunity for jobs. Your kid might be able to speak half Tagalog, half English. Your kid might be able to speak half Chinese, half English, half Japanese, half English, half Thai, half English. Bilingual is always better. There, you see, I think the most important thing to say, America is approaching a point right now. And you see it, you're hearing it in the news. We're approaching a point right now where people can't afford to live. Now, the reason why they can't afford to live is because a lot of them do not have the skills in order to live in this economy, which is changing right now. See, I thank God that I was born in the 1980s. I think I might have been America's last great generation of millennials, right? And the reality is I've got 10 more years to go in this bullshit. And I'm going to retire probably to Thailand or Vietnam or Philippines or some combination of those. And I'm going to be on a beach sipping buko juice and just chilling and just finally enjoying life. Just enjoying it, just laying back. Hey, honey, could you bring me the buko juice? Yeah, thank you so much, dear. Let me get some buko juice. Damn, that's some good buko juice. Anybody who's stuck here, you're basically going to be slaves and indentured servants to the system. And I'm sorry, I just have to say it just like that. I got 10 more years of this bullshit left, and I'm out. Got the properties. I'm going to rent my properties. I'm not going to sell them. I'm going to rent them. So while I'm over there sipping buko juice, you and your wife are going to be, well, not you, but you and your wife are going to be struggling just to make my rent payments every month, just so a part of that money can go to help me buy more buko juice, if you get my drift. And you'll be thankful because I'll charge you less than you'd be paying to be somewhere else. So the reality is, no, I've made lots and lots of videos about stocks. I've made lots and lots of videos about investments. You need to be preparing your retirement. And when I say your retirement, chances are you may want to consider retiring outside this country because I can already see things are going to be rough 5-10 years down the road. Things are going to be rough. You're feeling it now. Gas prices are getting ready to go right back up. China's coming back online. Russian oil is still sanctioned. Venezuela oil is still sanctioned. Guess what? Oil prices, gas prices, they about to go right back up. And they still up right now. It's, what is this? This is February 7th. We're in the middle of winter. Fucking premium unleaded is $3.85 at Costco and BJ's. But if you go to the regular gas station, it's like $4.25, $4.10, $4.15, something crazy. It's like a four. And I'm like, this is insane. And I'm amazed that the people haven't broken yet. But it is what it is. And all I know is I got 10 more years of this bullshit and I'm out. Just 10. I might even get out slightly earlier than that, but I'm counting 10 just to be certain. So that's the reality. And the thing about it is you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan for income beyond pensions. You have to have a plan beyond Social Security. This is why I tried to talk people into real estate. This is the reason why I tried to talk people into dividend paying stocks. Some people want to take their money and buy Bitcoin. And now they're excited because Bitcoin's like $23,000. My question is, what happened to the other $45,000 since it was at 68 and then it collapsed? But I'm not even going to go there right now. I'm not even going to go there. So that's what it is. You got to plan, and you got to plan very carefully because things are about to get rough. The crime is going up. The petty crime is going up. The insanity and the chaos is going up. You got to be ready to shake a leg. You got to be ready to move when the lights get turned out here. You got to be ready to move. So I hope you guys got a plan because I know I got a plan. I'm gonna be on a beach, sun beating down on me, and I'm gonna be sipping the Buko juice. And speaking of schooling, before I go, I'm going to make this very, very short. 9-year-old Pennsylvania boy earned his high school diploma online and with his parents' help is looking for a dream college to study black holes and supernovas. So when I was talking about these kids that sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson and they're talking about wormhole theory and event horizons and whatnot, this is kind of what I'm talking about right here. It's not impossible. 9-year-old black kid David Bullogun has graduated high school and is looking for his next step. So, yeah, it is possible. And these are his parents, as you can see. You see what you see, ladies? This is what happens when you have a father in the household. You see this guy? He may not be much to look at, but this guy right here is doing his thing. You know, because the ladies, and I say that where the ladies will look at it, oh yeah, well he's dusty and this, that, and other, because that's what they do. They like to make fun, especially when they see a black man with power in the household disciplining his children. They don't like to see that at all. So when I say he may not be much to look at, I'm not dissing him. I'm saying this is what they say. But the bottom line is, yeah, it kind of works a lot better when you have both parents in the household, doesn't it? It really does. You got a 9-year-old kid who's talking about wormholes, black holes, and studying quantum physics and singularities and this, that, and other. Here's a question, ladies. All the single ladies. Oh. Here's a question, ladies. What are your kids doing right now? You see, what I think is so interesting about this study at home thing that they did during this how should I say, this experiment that they did with people studying at home, where basically most of the kids were sleep in front of the computer, logged into the computer on their phone, weren't paying attention to the teachers, were at their job at McDonald's while they had their phone logged into the class in their pocket so that they could get credit. What I think that's very interesting about this is that this 9-year-old boy basically showed you what happens if you actually had taken the time that was given to you during COVID to actually just do the work online using your remote learning technology, because most people didn't really do it. In fact, I was reading an article a little while ago about people quiet quitting their jobs while they were doing remote work. And when I say quiet quitting, basically I mean stealing hours by not working and pretending to work And it takes management so long to find out that before they fire your ass, they have to wait a while just to figure out what's actually going on. So it turns out that this kid was one step ahead of all of you. This kid right here might be the next Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he's got nobody to thank but both of his parents being in the home, making sure that instead of him sitting in front of a video game system playing The Last of Us, they made sure that he was actually getting his work done. So I gotta congratulate this kid. This kid is going places. Here's a question. Where's your kid going?
Nobody said anything when women were going to Dubai. We know why you were going. Nobody said anything when women were flying state to state getting flued out. We know what you were doing. Nobody said anything when Nigerian and Jamaican men needed green cards and y'all started falsifying marriage documents so you could drive your Range Rover with your red bottoms. Let's just call a spade a spade. Y'all wanted the option to go back to these men after the man that you really wanted was done dragging you through the mud.
To be continued.